Hare Krishna. Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण माता जी, दंडवत प्रणाम।
Hare Krishna. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jnanatimantasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshantram Yama Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadayam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapatakamanam Shri Guru Vaishnavamsa Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Sajivam Sadhanatam Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Raghunatam Shri Vishakhambikamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dena Bandhu Jagatpati Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastite Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Site Devi Vancha Kalpatarumascha Kripa Sindhu Uvacha Patitanam Pavanabhyo Vaishnavi Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Krishna Vistavitani Prabhupada Jukriya Shri Giriraja Swami Subhakta Gadaraz Bihari Nimas Chaturanga Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vistavitani Shri Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namaste Saraswati Devi Bhagavani Pacharya Shri 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 Mukham karoti vācālam pangham langayati girim yaktatamaham bandhu Shri Guru Guru Hare Krishna. Actually, when I was reciting these prayers, I remember just listening to Indradyumna Swami's, he's got this mini series, he called it, of Krishna lila. So I'll post the last one. It's just so beautiful, describing Krishna's face. So he's saying that the devotees, Nanda Baba, all the Vrajavasis, they are worshippers of Narayan. So that's why they have the Vaishnav Tilak. So Krishna's got the Vaishnav Tilak because in Vraj, everybody, they are worshippers of Narayan. Then he's got a dot here, a sandalwood dot right here, which we find, my deities also. So, because this is like, it's mesmerizing this dot. So it captures everybody's heart. And then the gopi dots, all the decoration on Krishna's face. So the gopas will make decoration in one way, the gopis will make in different way. And each one have their own message, which design they are doing. It's superb. So this is for our meditation, Krishna meditation. Maharaj has come to 111 classes on these ecstatic symptoms of Krishna from Nectar Devotion. He made his own research. Oh my God, it's such a rasa. Krishna meditation.
Can you say why Radharani doesn't wear tilak?
He has a tilak, and she has a bindi.
She has a bindi, not a tilak.
So she's from Ekchakradham. So when they painted her, they have put a tilak and bindi.
Oh. But usually she in the temple she doesn't wear.
Bankim Rai has. Let me just send a picture. See whether it is visible. Yeah, yeah. Send him the group now. So she's from Ekchakradham. Here's our groups. Okay, here it is. Just see. Radharani's got a tilak, right? Down and then she's got the bindi. On her
Yeah.
neck. So,
A cute one, huh?
all right, so now we are reading Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Lila, chapter 12, then text 56. So we just read the story of Kamalakanta, how he was chastised by Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He chastises without anger, right? He chastises like he's very strong, extremely strong, but with a sweet moonlight face, smiling. That's what we read. He was very like. Let me find. What is this? Okay, text 33. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became unhappy upon reading the note, although his face still shone as brightly as the moon. Thus smiling, he spoke as follows. He's smiling, but he's giving such a punishment. He says, tell him to just get out from here. In our crude language, this is what we are saying. But he said, he has established Advaita Acharya, an incarnation of Supreme Personality of Godhead. There is nothing wrong in this, for he is indeed the Lord himself. But he has made the incarnation of Godhead a poverty-stricken beggar. Therefore, I shall punish him in order to correct him. The Lord ordered Govinda, from today on, do not allow that Baliya Kamalakanta Vishwas to come here. Very strong words, right? From today on, do not allow that Baliya Kamalakanta Vishwas to come here. So smiling, moon face, everything. But Mahaprabhu was just saying what needs to be said, you know. So the devotees should not mind. It's our great misfortune that if we are chastised, like we go away and we develop hatred, you know, for the spiritual master. It's a very great misfortune, great misfortune. So, so things got adjusted, right? The Advaita. So he was very unhappy. But when Advaita Prabhu heard about this, he was greatly pleased. He said, oh, you got chastised? I was looking to be chastised. I was not getting chastised. So he had to make a whole plan how he can get chastised. Because when the Lord is chastising, it means that he has personal interest in us. When the Guru is chastising, it means that the Guru, the teacher, has a personal interest in us. Otherwise, they won't bother. So that question was asked to Prabhupada, Navayogan Maharaj. He said, he told Prabhupada, I think it was here, because Prabhupada was very strong. So he said, he told Prabhupada, what should we do? What should we do when you chastise? So Prabhupada told him, you see so many people in the streets, who care about them? But when you are being chastised, it means that the spiritual master has interest in you. They won't chastise outside people, right? Everybody knows this. No parent goes out and chastise other people's children, right? We chastise our own children, our own students. Of course, these days, if you chastise a student, and I heard even parent, and you can get sued, right? There's children's right, there is students' rights, all these are coming up, isn't it? So great calamities, great calamities. So therefore the students, they remain as they are, and the children also, they remain as they are. Population become very dangerous, extremely dangerous. All right, so let's read text 56. Shri Yadunandanacharya Dvetera Shakha Tandra Shakha Upashakharanahi Hai Lekha. The fifth branch of Advaita Acharya was Sri Yadunandan Acharya, who had many branches and sub-branches that is impossible to write of them. Now, Yadunandan Acharya was the official initiator, spiritual master of Raghunath Das Goswami. In other words, when Raghunath Das Goswami was a householder, Yadunanda Acharya initiated him at home. Later, Raghunath Das Goswami took shelter of Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at Jagannath Puri. Everybody knows who is Raghunath Das Goswami. We all know. Everybody knows. All right. Text 57. So his Diksha Guru was Yadunandana Acharya. But he ran away from home and he went to take shelter of Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Vasudeva Dattera Tenho Kripara Bhajana Sarva Bhave Ashriya Che Chaitanya Charana. Shri Yadunandana Acharya was a student of Vasudeva Datta, and he received all his mercy. Therefore, he could accept Lord Chaitanya's lotus feet from all angles of vision of the supreme shelter. The Gora Ganoda Didesh Deepika 1440 described that Vasudeva Dutt was formerly Madhuvrata, a singer in Vrindavan. Text 58. Bhagavata Vishnudas Acharya Chakrapani Acharya Ananta Acharya Bhagavat Acharya Vishnudas Acharya Chakrapani Acharya and Ananta Acharya were the sixth, seventh, eighth, and ninth branches of Advaita Acharya. In his Anubhasya, Shri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada say that Bhagavat Acharya was formerly among the followers of Acharya, Advaita Acharya, but was later counted among the followers of Gadadhar Pandit. The sixth verse of Shakha Nirnayamamrita, a book written by Yadunandana Das, state that Bhagavat Acharya compiled a famous book of the name Prem Tarangini. According to the Gaur Guna Desh Deepika 195, Bhagavat Acharya was formerly lived in Vrindavan as Shweta Manjari. Vishnudas Acharya was present during the Khetari Mahotsav. He went there with Achyutananda as stated in the Bhakti Ratnakar. 10th Taranga. Ananta Acharya was one of the 8 principal gopis. His former name was Sudevi. Ananta, Sudevi. Although he was among Advaita Acharya's followers, he later became an important devotee of Gadadhar Goswami. So we found this a few times. Someone who was with Nityananda went to Chaitanya. Someone with Chaitanya went to Nityananda. So we see this exchange, group. So we should be flexible with our groups. All right? This is what we are learning here in all our Bhakti Vriksha group, counselor group, how much fighting goes on about, among groups, group leaders, to which group you belong to. So here we find that one time this devotee was with Advaita Acharya. Then he went to Gadadhar Pandit. So this is going on.
Mataji, I have a question. Mataji, this Raghunath Das Goswami's initiating guru, spiritual master was Yadunandan Acharya. But whenever we are hearing anything about Raghunath Das Goswami, he is spending most of his time with Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami. So why is that?
Diksha Guru, right? Diksha Guru was, there's nothing like fixed, you belong to me, This is one of the misery of this Bhakti Vriksha program, this counselor program, when people become so rigid. So they don't allow their student to go to some other group. Very possessive. So here we are learning how it works. So Diksha Guru, you can have a Diksha Guru. Shiksha Guru, you can have as many as you want, right? You feel happy, you feel nourished in the association of a spiritual, someone highly qualified, right? It's not that you are my disciple and then you're just stuck with me. You can't. Like Jeev Goswami. Jeev Goswami was Shiksha Guru. So many Pandits were sending their disciples to Jeev Goswami. Right? But there was etiquette. Everybody knows this is this spiritual master's disciple. So there is etiquette. But here, what's saying? Although he was among Advaita Acharya's followers, he later became an important devotee of Gadadhar Goswami. So, and we found that also Kamalakanta Vishwas, I think he was with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I think that's what we read earlier. Then he came to Advaita Acharya. He became the secretary Advaita Acharya. I guess that's why Mahaprabhu knows him very well, right? He was an intimate servant, so that's why he chastised him also. See, we are very lucky. We are very lucky if we are in a close sangha. If we're in a close sangha, and if there is chastisement, and we still stay in the sangha and we don't go away. Because how much we lose? How much we lose when we leave the sangha? We develop hatred for this one, that one. We are extremely weak and we get devoured by this Kali Yuga. The whales, the huge super whales of this material world will swallow us up if we step out. If we step out of the association of devotees, the material world will tear us to pieces. We are so well protected among the devotees, even if there are misunderstandings among us. Right? So Mahaprabhu took very high risk, right? He chastised Kamalakanta Vishwas. Yeah, Shinu?
No, I just wanted to say that you're absolutely right about like it's impossible to avoid conflict wherever you are nowadays, isn't it? And but we should actually welcome chastisement, isn't it? Because not many people will like tell you the truth, and it's purification. If you have like suffering is purification. This is how I see it in a way, isn't it? So we can be grateful to people instead of getting annoyed.
Yeah. See, conflict is the norm of Kali Yuga. That's what Kali Yuga means, the age of quarrel. Kali Yuga, the age of quarrel and hypocrisy. This is what Kali Yuga is. Just like Satyuga is the age of truthfulness. So similarly, Kali Yuga is named as the age of quarrel and hypocrisy. So for no reason at all, even slight provocation, there is conflict and division. Even among intimate friends, any time, fire can be set. So therefore, it is so important to be sufficiently mature that we don't quarrel among ourselves. Because quarrel makes us very weak, extremely weak. You become despondent, dispirited, you become lonely, you get isolated. Then you will go on criticizing. The more you criticize, the more you go down. Right? So that you start hating everybody. So that's how you come into isolation. Oh, so this is a very good lesson here. So we were discussing about, even though there are different groups, but at the end of the day, there's only one party, right? It's Mahaprabhu's party. Right? So many groups, but only one party. Mahaprabhu's party. And actually, people hate it when you try to process them and you try to say only in my group and not in any other group. They hate it. They'll talk about you. Okay, text 59. Okay, Devahuti, you want to read?
Hare Krishna. Nandini or Kamadev, Chaitanya Das, Durlabh Vishwas or Bonomali Das. Translation: Nandini, Kamadev, Chaitanya Das, Durlabh Vishwas and Vanamali Das were the 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th and 14th branches of Sri Advaita Acharya. Text 60. Jagannath Kaur or Kaur Bhavanath, Hridayananda Sena or Das Bholanath. Translation: Jagannath Kaur, Bhavananda Kaur, Hridayananda Sena and Bholanath Das were the 15th, 16th, 17th and 18th branches of Advaita Acharya. Text 61. Yadava Das, Bijoya Das, Das Janardana, Ananta Das, Kanu Pandita, Dasha Narayanu. Yadava Das, Vijaya Das, Janardhan Das, Ananta Das, Kanu Pandit, and Narayan Das were the 19th, 20th, 21st, 22nd, 23rd, and 24th branches of Advaita Acharya. Text 62. Srivatsa Pandit Brahmachari Haridas, Purushottam Brahmachari are Krishnodas. Srivatsa Pandit Haridas Brahmachari, Purushottam Brahmachari, and Krishnadas were the 25th, 26th, 27th, and 28th branches of Advaita Acharya. Text 63. Purushottam Pandit R. Raghunath, Bonomali Kobi Chandra, Aro Vaidyanath. Purushottam Pandit Raghunath, Bonomali Kobi Chandra, and Vaidyanath were the 29th, 30th, 31st, and 32nd branches of Advaita Acharya. Text 64. Lokonath Pandit R. Murari Pandit, Sri Hari Charana R. Madhava Pandit. Translation. Lokanath Pandit, Murari Pandit, Sri Hari Charana, and Madhava Pandit were the 33rd, 34th, 35th, and 36th branches of Advaita Acharya. Text 65. Vijaya Pandit R. Pandit Sri Ram, Ashankho Advaita Shakha, Koto Loibo Naam. Translation. Vijaya Pandit and Sri Ram Pandit were the two important branches of Advaita Acharya. There are innumerable branches, but I am unable to mention them all. Srivas Pandit was an incarnation of Narada Muni, and thus Srivas's younger brother Sriram Pandit is accepted as an incarnation of Parvata Muni, Narada Muni's most intimate friend. Text 66. Mali Dotto Jol Advaito Skandha Yogaya Shei Jole Jie Shakha Phula Phala Paya. Translation. The Advaita Acharya branch received the water supplied by the original gardener Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In this way, the sub-branches were nourished and their fruits and flowers grew luxuriantly. Purport. The branches of Advaita Acharya, nourished by the water jal supplied by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, are to be considered bona fide acharyas. As we have discussed herein before, the representatives of Advaita Acharya later divided into two groups: the bona fide branches of the Acharya's disciplic succession and the pretentious branches of Advaita Acharya. Those who followed the principles of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu flourished, whereas the others, who are mentioned below in the 67th verse, dried up.
Yeah. So this 65, Vijay Pandit and Sri Ram Pandit were two important branches of Advaita Acharya. There are innumerable branches, but I'm unable to mention them all. So, like in ISKCON, a main branch of Chaitanya tree is ISKCON, Prabhupada, right? Now, Prabhupada, he has so many gurus, a huge organization, guru everywhere, mentors, etc. all levels. So there are innumerable branches, but I'm unable to mention them all. So Shrivas Pandit was an incarnation of Narad Muni, and thus Shrivas' younger brother, Shri Ram
Pandit.
Pandit, is accepted as an incarnation of Parvat Muni. So this Shri Ram Pandit is younger brother of Shrivas. So this is Parvat Muni. Narad Muni and Parvat Muni, they're always together. You know this? Narad Muni and Parvat Muni. So, friend, their friend, Narad Muni's friend. Parvat Muni, sorry, not brother. But Shri Ram and Shivas Pandit, they are brothers. All right. So this is good to note here. And then the second one, Advaita Acharya branch received the water supplied by the original gardener. See, we keep on going back to the original gardener. All our philosophy, say, like, if you continue sufficiently in this path of Krishna consciousness, and you are studying, you come to a point where now you want to see the practical. You want to just close the books and you want to observe the world. You want to observe the devotee world, I mean. You want to observe yourself. You want to know that now that you have heard so much, you have understood so much, now let me look around and see what I am and how it actually fits in the real world. You don't want to just sit and read philosophy. You actually want to see how it's manifesting. And of course, there are going to be all levels and huge challenges. So many things are going to happen. But the main thing is to go back to God in time. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu here. So the Advaita Acharya branch received the water supplied by the original gardener, Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That's fine. Okay. Now, when we are practicing and when things are going, we can't understand what's going on. Who do we look? Who do we turn to? Who do we look towards? It is Shri
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Because he's the original gardener. Yes, I turn towards Prabhupada, but then Prabhupada, so many things goes wrong in his movement. So what do? Right?
Go back to the original.
Millions of things go wrong in his movement. What do? Right? So the Prabhupada is representing the original gardener. We have to go back to the original gardener, Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and that's why this Chaitanya Charitamrita is so important, extremely important, because Mahaprabhu has come to show us how to practice bhakti, and he's dealt with each and every obstacle that may manifest in the life of a devotee. So in this way, the sub-branches were nourished and their fruits and flowers grew luxuriantly. So again, calamity happens. This is the age of quarrel. This is the age of hypocrisy. So one guru, one father, Advaita Acharya, 3 sons became great devotees of Mahaprabhu and followed the line. Three boys, sons became divided, became Mayavadis, smarter something, right? and it became Asar. So 3 flourished and 3 gradually died. So we see also in ISKCON, you know, how it gets like wrecked and rocked, you know, shaking, right? So many groups want to come out. So this is natural. This is Kali Yuga. This is natural. How to be lucky to still be able to stick to Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So those who follow the principle of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu flourished, whereas the others who are mentioned below in the 60th, 67th verse dried up. All right. Shenya, you can read.
Yes, thank you, Hare Krishna. Ihara Madhyamali Pache Kona Shakagana Namane Chaitanya Mali Durdaiva Karana. After the disappearance of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, some branches, for unfortunate reasons, deviated from his path. Text 68. Srijaila Jiyaila Tanre Namanila Kritangna Haila Tanre Skanda Haila. Some branches did not accept the original trunk that vitalized and maintained the entire tree. When they thus became ungrateful, the original trunk was angry at them. Text 69. Krutha Hana Skanda Tare Jalana Sanchare Jalabhave Krisha Shakha Shukaya Mare. Thus, Lord Chaitanya did not sprinkle upon them the water of his mercy, and they gradually withered and died.
Yeah, so that's an important, that if we disconnect ourselves, actually, I have already described this earlier. So if we disconnect ourselves from the original trunk, we can't survive. And so here Mahaprabhu, Shri Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is making the statement that if we go away from the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, they gradually withered and died. I mean, do you know what it means? You lose your Krishna consciousness. Your Krishna consciousness dies. That's how, I mean, this is such a great misfortune. Yeah. Shashi, you are able to read?
Hare Krishna Mataji. Text 70. Chaitanya Rahita Deha Sukha Khasta Sama Jivite Mita Sei Mela Dande Yama. A person without Krishna consciousness is no better than dry wood or a dead body. He is understood to be dead while living, and after that he is punishable by Yamraj. Purport. In Srimad Bhagavatam 6th Canto, 3rd chapter, 29th verse, Yamraj, the superintendent of death, tells his assistant what class of men they should bring before him. There he states, a person whose tongue never described the qualities and holy name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose heart never throbs as he remembers Krishna and his lotus feet, and whose head never bows in obeisance to the Supreme Lord, must be brought before me for punishment. In other words, non-devotees are brought before Yamraj for punishment, and thus material nature awards them various types of bodies. After death, which is Dehantara, a change of body, non-devotees are brought before Yamraj for justice. By the judgment of Yamraj, material nature gives them bodies suitable for the reaction of the past activities. This is the process of Dehantara, or transmigration of the self from one body to another. Krishna consciousness devotees, however, are not subject to be judged by Yamraj. For devotees, there is an open road, as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. After giving up the body, Tyaktva Deham, a devotee never again has to accept another material body. For in a spiritual body, he goes back home, back to Godhead. The punishment of Yamraj are meant for persons who are not Krishna conscious. Text 71. Kevala Gane Prati Nahile Danda Chaitanya Vimukha Ye Seta Pasanda. Translation. Not only the misguided descendants of Advait Acharya, but anyone who is against the cult of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu should be considered an atheist subject to the punishment by Yamraj. Text 72. Ki Pandita, Ki Tapashvi, Ki Grihi Yati, Chaitanya Vimuhu Ye, Tara E Gati. Translation. Be he a learned scholar, a great ascetic, a successful householder, or a famous sannyasi, one who is against the cult of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is destined to suffer the punishment meted out by Yamraj.
Okay, Amrita Radhe, you want to say something?
Yes, Madhaji. Actually, based on today's discussion, there's one question. One basically, so we understand that everybody in this Kali Yuga is fallible, and even if, like just like the sons of Advaita Acharya, even they fell down. But at the same time, so we understand that anyone is fallible. That's one. Now, the second point, on the other hand, we see that we are not supposed to criticize Vaishnavas, judge, or discuss their faults. But at the same time, as sadhakas, we want to achieve the ultimate goal. So we don't really want to follow somebody who's faulty. So how are we going to find out who is genuine follower of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is following the essence and who is just pretending? If we'll not judge or if we'll not discuss amongst each other.
No, it's not that we are sitting and criticizing people, right? So there is we say, a measuring rod, right? We need to know who is who. And this Nectar of Instruction is a very important book for us to be able to distinguish who is who. And here Chaitanya Charitamrita, which is summarized in Nectar of Devotion and Nectar of Instruction, is showing us. So here, Krishnadas Kaviraj is describing them, right? He described who they are, what they do. And read earlier, so much description, and we should be able to identify who is who. So neophytes cannot identify who is who. Neophyte, sometimes they like you, sometimes they hate you. Right? This is the attitude of neophytes, meaning they're sentimental, right? And Madhyam, they have more knowledge. They respect at the same time. They are able to see the fault because they have sufficient knowledge, but they may not be fully equipped to defeat something that is faulty. Right? So what advice for them is to avoid, right? And the Mahabhagavad, he takes risk. The Uttama Adhikari, he takes risk. He preaches to each and every one. And sometimes, like they did to Jesus Christ, they crucify him, right? That's what they do. So it's not that we should just, be blind and know who. So we know who is who by study of Shastra, and then we decide according to the indication of Shastra how to deal with them, right? Is it clear? Where are you? Is it clear? Amrita Radhe, you understand what I'm talking about? See, I'm not going to details because I expect that this group is already studying Nectar of Devotion, Nectar of Instruction.
Yes, Mataji. Okay, maybe I'll have to go back to Nectar of Devotion. I did read, but I'm forgetting.
Kanishta,
So
the Madhyamadhikari and the Uttamadhikari, how they behave, right?
Is it okay to aspire to be Uttam Adhikari so that you have every knowledge and also love in your heart?
If you don't become Uttamadhikari, you can't go back home, back to Godhead.
Ah, okay. So we should
Isn't
have that desire,
it?
and
The
then hopefully
desire, we
Krishna
have
will
to
come.
work for it. What is the meaning of Uttamadhikari?
I remember that they see everything in connection to Krishna. Even non-devotees they see in connection to Krishna. Devotees also they see in connection to Krishna.
This is vision, but there is another definition also. In terms of how they're seeing the world, they're seeing everybody equally. What's that? Mini Pakecha, what's that? Samadarshina.
Pandita
વિદ્યા વિનય
Samadharshi.
સંપન્ને બ્રાહ્મણે ગવી હસ્તિની સુની ચૈવ સ્વપાકે ચ પંડિતા સમદર્શિની.
So this is one vision. And what else is he seeing? He is seeing the Supreme Lord. He's completely engaged in the service of the Supreme Lord. But there is something more. Another definition of Uttamadhikari and all those adhikaris. It's based on faith and knowledge. Right? Uttama is someone who has absolute, unbreakable faith. Whatever happens, he doesn't waver. Right? And his faith is based on what? On knowledge. Right? Uttama, Kanishta Adhikari is not interested in the books.
Okay.
Sentimental. They are attracted by the deities. Right? They are attracted by the deities, so they worship the deity, but they quarrel with everybody else. So their faith, he said, is komala, meaning here and there, anytime you can push them off the cliff. Right? Here and there. Kanishta, anishtita. The faith is komala. And they don't study the Shastra. So the majority of people are Kanishta because they're not interested in scriptures, sitting and studying and discussing. Like we hear also, not that everybody has to sit and be a scholar, all right? But if we want to be elevated, we should be ready to sit and listen, right? That much taste the general population should have.
Mataji, I also heard that sometimes Uttamadhikaris they go down to the Madhyadhikari level, right? In order to preach.
Yeah, yeah. So they adopt the mood, like because they say equal vision, right? Samadarshana. But to preach, you have to distinguish that this is sinful and this is pious. This one is innocent, this one is fallen. Hopeless. Like, yeah, so sometimes we have to distinguish. Should be able to distinguish who is who. So Uttamadhikari, he has to come off his mood of equal vision, otherwise he doesn't preach. So when we say he comes to the Madhyamadhikari, meaning he changes his vision, then he's able to give.
Where do you think we are?
Each one of us, we have to assess, right? This is very much required. The list is given again in Nectar Devotion, Nectar Instruction. I have just made a brief summary of it. Adhikari is based on faith and knowledge. The more you study, the more your faith will increase. All right, you understand better and better. So if we don't study, then our faith cannot increase. It remains komala. We can get swayed by other people's arguments, by doubts, by our own anarthas. And another criteria is your love for Krishna. So the Kanishta they adore the deity, they pay obeisances to the deities, but they don't like the devotees. They disrespect the devotees. Madhyam, he offers his love to Krishna and he will make friendship with the devotees. He respects the seniors and he will avoid the envious. Because why he avoid the envious? Because, he's not sufficiently equipped in terms of knowledge. His knowledge is medium. The Uttama is somebody whose faith is very strong, unbreakable, even if there are some obstacles in his practices of Krishna consciousness. His faith never wavers. He continues and he goes further, further, further. Even when there are obstacles, even when there are accidents on his path, his spiritual path, the accidents, things happen in everybody's life. But he continues. This is a Uttama Adhikari. Adhikari means his capacity to practice Krishna consciousness, his eligibility, his capacity. Yogyata, I think they call it in Hindi, no? Yogyata. It's not perfect yet. We are practicing. We want to
Eligibility. Yogya, eligible.
Why did we come to all this? Oh, that was Amrita Radha's
question.
That, we should not talk about others. We should not see. No, we must see. We must see, and we should know how to deal with them.
Thank you.
Should we continue?
Yeah. Is it okay to just read one verse from the Bhagavad Gita? I was revising today. In 1861.
Yeah.
The Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjuna, and is directing the wanderings of all living entities who are seated as on a machine made of the material energy. Right? So basically, the Supreme Lord is always controlling everybody, depending on their mode. So that can help us to see everything as Krishna.
Yeah, saying that we need to connect. We need to connect with Krishna. Krishna is riding our machine, right? This body, right? But we need to connect with him. That's how either we behave as a Kanishta, Madhyam, or Uttama, depending on how we connect with him. It's not that Krishna is not in the heart of Duryodhana and each and all grades of people who were either for or against Krishna, right? He's there, but Arjuna chose to hear Krishna.
Yes, in chapter 18, there are lots of nice verses, even how basically to surrender. It's all about surrendering onto Krishna and thinking about him at all times, isn't it? Ultimately.
Mataji, it's just that as we stay in the movement and we grow in the movement, the maturity, the word you use, the word, one needs to be more matured. I was just looking at the word matured. It's basically the same situation what I would have faced 5-10 years earlier. My reaction would have been different. Today, facing the same situations, because situations in the temple, as Kali Yuga moves, as new devotee comes in, I think it's getting even from bad to worse. But given in that same situation or worse situation, the reactions of a devotee as they matured, it is very, very different. So this is where the connection, the understanding, the knowledge, the experience, your seva, whatever you say, Krishna guiding you from within, or it is your as you said the word, the intense faith that finally this is where we need to go, that might be working to give you a different kind of a reaction to a more versus situation in midst of devotees. This is what is my understanding.
The thing is that as we preach, so you see the expansion of the movement, new people come. So new people come, but for each and every one, we have to rise, right? This is individual endeavor. This is personal endeavor. It's not that because the movement is expanding and new people are coming, that you are going to just stay there. You have to rise. And they will also rise. Right? Those who survive. Manushanam sahasreshu, right? Krishna has told us, Manushanam sahasreshu. Among thousands who will come, hardly anybody will actually achieve. So many will drop. But what we are talking about is if we are to survive, because here it says that if you don't catch hold of the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya, you'll dry up and die. Right? You'll actually die. I mean, it's like no two way about this. Some branches didn't accept the original trunk that vitalized and maintained the entire tree. When they thus became ungrateful, the original trunk was angry at them. So they came close, very, very close to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his philosophy. Philosophy meaning his method of self-realization, the process to become free from the cycle of birth and death, and to achieve a final destination. This is what it means. So when they thus become ungrateful, meaning they came very close, but then they started to deviate. And we experienced that. They became ungrateful. The original tribe was angry at them. Thus Lord Chaitanya didn't sprinkle upon them the water of his mercy. And they gradually withered and died. Withered and died. So this is like the yeah, withered and died, and that's what we are talking about. So we see the thing is that actually Krishna consciousness is meant for the topmost. That Mahaprabhu is opening the door to everybody, right? He's allowing so many come. And as the large is coming, then those who are, I'm repeating myself, those who are already practicing, if after 5 years you find 1,000 people more have joined your congregation, meaning you're 5 years older, you have to come to 10 years older, you have to come to 20 years older, you have to come to 50 years older, and you have to rise. You don't know among those who are coming how many will survive, but you have to take a vow that you are going to survive. Right? And how will you survive? By studying the Shastra, by keeping in the satsanga, despite whatever may happen, you stick to the sangha. So a person without Krishna consciousness is better than dry wood or a dead body. He's understood to be dead while living, and after death, he's punishable by Yamaraj. Not only the misguided descendant of Advaita Acharya, but anyone who is against the cult of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu should be considered an atheist, subject to be punished by Yamaraj. Be he a learned scholar, a great ascetic, a successful householder, ki pandita, ki tapasvi, kiba grihiyati, or a famous sannyasi, one who is against the cult of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Chaitanya Vimukhiye Tara E Gati is destined to suffer the punishment meted out by Yamaraj. ये लैला श्री अच्युतानंदेरा मत से Acharya Rera Gana Mahabhagavata, the descendants of Advaita Acharya who accepted the path of Sri Achyuta were all great devotees. Purport. In this connection, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in his Amrita Varaha Pravaha Bhasya, gave the short note. Sri Advaita Acharya is one of the important trunks of the Bhakti Kalpataru, or desire tree of devotional service. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as a gardener, poured water on the root of the Bhakti tree and thus nourished all its trunks and branches. But nevertheless, under the spell of Maya, the most unfortunate condition of a living entity, some of the branches, not accepting the gardener who poured water on them, considered the trunk the only cause of the great Kalpataru. In other words, the branches or descendants of Advaita Acharya, who considered Advaita Acharya the original cause of the devotional creeper, and who thus neglected or disobeyed the instruction of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, deprived themselves of the effect of being watered and thus dried up and died. It is further to be understood that not only the misguided descendant of Advaita Acharya, but anyone who has no connection with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, even if he is independently a great sannyasi, learned scholar, or ascetic, is like a dead branch of a tree. So if they accept Advaita Acharya, but they neglect Mahaprabhu, all right, so we forget the original branch. If each one of us, we become bhakta of our own guru, but we neglect Srila Prabhupada, all right? Oh, we forget Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is also such a misunderstanding. Great misunderstanding, very dangerous misunderstanding. I'll read it again. The descendants of Advaita Acharya who accepted the path of Sri Achyutananda were all great devotees. So here Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, Sri Advaita Acharya is one of the important trunks of the Bhakti Kalpataru, or desire tree of devotional service. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as a gardener, poured water on the root of the Bhakti tree and thus nourished all its trunks and branches. But nevertheless, under the spell of Maya, the most unfortunate condition of a living entity, some of the branches, not accepting the gardener who poured water on them, considered the trunk the only cause of the great Bhakti Kalpataru. Remember that Mahaprabhu planted the seed of Bhakti, and he also became the gardener, right? And when he poured, gardener meaning he's pouring and nourishing the seed, and this seed is sprouting, becoming a tree, having trunk, and then branches, so many branches. Now, some people here, they accept one branch only. Like, let's say ISKCON. If we accept ISKCON independent and we forget Mahaprabhu, so that's why Prabhupada everywhere, he has installed deities of Gonitai.
Gornita.
Gonitai. He propagated new worship Gonitai.
But Advaita Acharya should have them. Bring them back to Mahaprabhu.
Sorry? Yes,
Advaita
so
Acharya.
this is after
This is
Advaita
his
Acharya.
duty.
Yeah, Advaita Acharya left, right? When he left, his sons
Oh, when
became,
he left. Okay.
right? That's what we read. It's what we read. So 3 sons followed and 3 sons didn't. Yeah, and even if it was happening in his presence, the sons don't want. And what can you do? Right? If they don't want. So, in other words, the branches or the descendants of Advaita Acharya who considered Advaita Acharya the original cause of the devotional treatment and who thus neglected or disobeyed the instruction of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, deprived themselves of the effect of being watered and thus dried up and died. Because the branch is dependent on the root, right? Right? It's dependent on the root. Now, if you're not pouring water in the root, naturally the trunk will die. And here it says that it doesn't matter. So misguided descendants of Advaita Acharya, and anyone who is maybe a great sannyasi, a great learned scholar, or an ascetic, is like a dead branch of a tree. This analysis by Sri Bhaktivinoda Thakur, supporting the statements of Sri Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, depicts the position of the present-day so-called Hindu religion, which being predominantly conducted by the Mayavad philosophy, has become a hodgepodge institution of various concocted ideas. Mayavadis greatly fear the Krishna consciousness movement and accuse it of spoiling the Hindu religion because it accepts people from all parts of the world and all religions and sects and scientifically engages them in the Devi Varnashram Dharma. As we have explained several times, however, we find no such word as Hindu in the Vedic literature. The word most probably came from Afghanistan, a predominantly Muslim country, and originally referred to a pass in of the Afghanistan known as Hindu Kush, which is still part of a trade route between India and various Muslim countries. Sorry. The actual Vedic system of religion is called Varnashram Dharma, as confirmed in the Vishnu Puran. Varnashramachara vata purushena parapuman Vishnu raradyate pantha nanya tattosha karanam. Now Prabhupada is explaining that. When we say I'm Hindu, actually we are not Hindus. Who are we? We are followers of Varnashram Dharma.
Sanatan.
Varnashram Dharma. We're not speaking of Sanatan Dharma. We're speaking of Varnashram Dharma. Sanatan Dharma is something different from Varnashram Dharma. The Vedic literature recommends that a human being follow the principles of Varnashram Dharma. Accepting the process of Varnashram Dharma will make a person's life successful because this will connect him with the Supreme Person. This movement is meant for all of humanity. Although humanity has different sections or subdivisions, all human beings belong to one species, and therefore we accept that they all have the ability to understand the constitutional position. This is Sanatan Dharma. To understand their constitutional position in connection with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu confirmed, Jivera Swarup Hai Krishnera Nityadas. Every living entity is an eternal part, an eternal servant of the Supreme Person Godhead. Every living entity who attains the human form of life can understand the importance of his position and thus become eligible to become a devotee of Lord Krishna. We take it for granted, therefore, that all humanity should be educated in Krishna consciousness. Indeed, in all parts of the world, in every country where we preach the Sankirtan movement, we find that people very easily accept the Hare Krishna Mahamantra without hesitation. So this Sankirtan movement means the movement of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his instructions. The visible effect of this chanting is that the members of the Hare Krishna movement, regardless of their backgrounds, all give up the four principles of sinful life and come to an elevated standard of devotion. Although posing as great scholars, ascetics, householders, and swamis, the so-called followers of the Hindu religion are all useless, dried up branches of the Vedic religions. Just see what Prabhupada is putting down in print, black and white. He's saying that this Hindu religion, they consist of so-called, great scholars, ascetics, householders, and swamis. They are so-called followers of the Hindu. They're all useless, dried up branches of the Vedic religion. They're impotent. They cannot do anything to spread the Vedic culture for the benefit of human society. The essence of the Vedic culture, the message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Lord Chaitanya instructed, Yare dekha tare kaha Krishna upadesh, Amara agya guru hana tara edesh. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya 7.128. One should simply instruct everyone he meets regarding the principles of Krishna Katha, as expressed in Bhagavad Gita as it is, and Shrimad Bhagavatam. One who has no interest in Krishna Katha or the cult of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is like dry, useless wood with no living force. The ISKCON branch being directly watered by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is becoming undoubtedly successful, whereas the disconnected branches of the so-called Hindu religion that are envious of ISKCON are drying up and dying.
That's very, very strong.
Very strong statement. Very strong statement.
Yeah, so therefore, the warning is also for the individual, so Hindu society in general, right? So, I mean, sometimes I say, be careful that we, within ISKCON, we also don't become Hindus, right? So how to avoid this? What's the definition of a Hindu? Nowadays is a non-practicing Hindu. This is what you are. What is a Hindu? A non-practicing. You're Hindu by name only. Varnasham Dharma. Varnasham Dharma is somebody who is practicing the principles of Dharma. Who are Hindus? Those who no longer practice the principles of Varnasham Dharma. Right? Even though everybody is running by, I don't know how many crore has gone to Kumbh Mela. I don't know. Have gone, right? But we have to come back better, right? So that's why these Mela are so important, because there we can distribute books. We can give Bhagavad Gita, we can give knowledge, we can give prasadam, they can hear the holy name. Harinam Sankirtan can hear. Yeah, so this is, how Prabhupada is saying actual Vedic system of religion is called Varnasham Dharma. Varnasham Dharma meaning you actively practice. So Hindu is simply a fallen form of Varnasham Dharma. It's useless. Although posing as great scholars, ascetics, householders, and swamis, the so-called followers of the Hindu religion are all useless, dried up branches of the Vedic religion, meaning their source is the Vedic religion, but they have become asar. No, I don't know, we spoke so much today, right? So many things we said.
Good class.
It gets heavier, no? It's heavier. Hmm? Because these are the things that are happening in the world, ISKCON world. Hmm? So we have to be extremely careful. We take Diksha. Diksha means I take a vow, 4 relative principles, and to chant Hare Krishna. Right? We take a vow. And then what happened after a few years? We stop chanting and we don't worry about the regulatory principles. So we become asar. Right? So the more the number of devotees who stop chanting 16 rounds, because we take that vow, right? Then more the number of devotees increase who stop chanting Hare Krishna, naturally they will struggle with following the 4 regular principles. If you don't chant, you can't follow the regular principle. You start becoming loose and loose and loose in each and every of the regular principles.
They get dried up,
Yeah.
like Chaitanya would say,
Yes.
because they are not getting the water
Yeah.
to the root.
Yes. So then they're still around, and sometimes they look like, and then you find, oh, not doing. So the more
Yeah,
that
you have to discriminate.
so the more that population increases, the more individually those who are serious, you have to be vigilant. You are extremely vigilant to protect your own spiritual life.
Absolutely.
Why? Why? Because anytime they'll shoot at you. Not easy to come out from this cycle of birth and death. Therefore, to always take shelter of this Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, His mercy, never to forget him, never underestimate him. You have your duty of Gonitai, never at any point underestimate him. All right, okay, so thank you very much. Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Sri. Nice.
Hare
Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Thank
Mataji. Hare Krishna. Dhanvatana.
Jai Hare
अच्छा
Krishna. I've got pera with me. I want to distribute pera to all of you. Here's the pera for everybody, okay?
You're too far from me.
Hare
And don't
Krishna.
show your pera.
This
Keep
is
it to
what I regret. This is what I regret.
Oh.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.